Hey guys, it's Rahim. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, smash the subscribe button because I talk about property investment, personal development, and how to gain financial freedom. In today's video, I'm going to share with you how even the worst investment property decision can make you money. What I'm about to share with you is a proof on the pudding to tell you that property investment is one of the safest investment strategies anyone can do. Hence the reason why all the millionaires, multi-millionaires and billionaires invest in real estate. For those who don't know me, my name is Rahim. I started my property investment journey just over 7 years ago as a result of being fed up of working for people because I was working ridiculously long hours in a job where I was undervalued, underappreciated, going nowhere. I took the leap of faith to start my property investment journey with little to building a multi-million pound property investment portfolio. So you may be asking, how did I do that? I did that by starting to rent out properties from landlords, and I subsequently rent those properties out on a room by room basis, as well as on a nightly basis. So the profit I made from those properties, I used to start buying my own investment portfolio. I now have my estate agency, my renovation company. I now help professionals like yourself to use property as a vehicle to make passive recurring income. So in this video, I'm going to share with you how even making the worst property investment decision can still make you money. You see, just over 7 years ago, when I started my property investment journey, I specialized in rent to rent. So rent to rent and rent to service accommodation. That was the sort of strategies I really specialized on. So I was making money from that, and obviously I wanted to use those money to make money. So I wanted to use the profit I make there to start building my own property investment portfolio. So I thought I knew everything about property. Okay. So I remember 2018 August, sunny day. It was absolutely beaming outside. It looks absolutely amazing. It's so bright, and it was a Friday. I registered on the auction to buy an investment property. So without knowing anything about buying properties, I just jumped onto it because I thought I knew rent to service, technology, exactly the same thing. So I happened to be able to buy a property through auction, and that property was in a very small town. Maybe 30 to 50 families live in that small village. So I bought that property firstly without viewing the property. I saw it online, I got excited. It looks massive and big, massive rooms. It's a Victorian property. It gets me excited, it gets me so pumped up. So obviously I sat down and I bought that property. I remember buying the property, so excited on a Friday on my way to London to visit family. I bought it, going back to London, so excited, waiting for Monday to go and visit and see this investment property. So I remember driving with my wife. We're all excited, we're all pumped up in my car driving. So I bought the property, paid my 10% deposit, instructed the solicitors to start the legal process. Obviously, continue London. Monday comes, I call in sick. I did not go to work that day. I was so excited, wanting to go and see the property before it completes. Okay, so I rang the auctioneer. I said, look, I bought the property, haven't viewed it. Is it okay for me to go and view that property? They said, fine, not a problem. I popped in, they gave me the key. Lucky enough, I was able to get the key because I was buying it from an individual instead of a corporation. So they give me the postcode, I got the postcode, and then I start my journey. So I drove about 35 to 40 minutes from Cardiff because that's what I thought how far the property was, because I thought it was in Port Talbot. There's a small town called Port Talbot. Okay, I got to Port Talbot. I could not see anywhere. I saw on the sat nav I've got another 10 miles left to get to my destination. I'm thinking, what? I thought it was Port Talbot. Why is it 10 miles away from here? To cut long story short, I drove to the destination. Halfway there, I had to ring the auctioneers to find out if I've got the right postcode because it was taking me to nowhere. They gave me the postcode. I punched the postcode again. It told me I'm heading the right direction, so I just need to keep going. So get there. I arrived in a small village, a very small, tiny village. Maybe if I'm lucky, 50 families live in that village. So as I drove in, I saw a little sign that said, welcome to Glencorrach. If you know South Wales, Port Talbot, it's one of the villages inside Port Talbot. Literally, you're going to go all the way to a dead end to get there. I've got there, I'm thinking, what have I got myself into? As I open that door, I get greeted with loads of problems. Because as you know, buying properties in auction require lots of work, isn't it? It's a renovation project. I saw debris, ceiling falling apart, no doors, literally. It was all over the place. It needed a complete makeover. Walk back in the kitchen, go through the kitchen and walk to the back garden. It's one of those houses where the toilet was at the back. You know, back then people used to use the toilet at the back. So there's no toilet inside the actual property. I'm thinking, what have I got myself into? So obviously I looked in. It was a terrible investment. I'm going to be honest with you. It was terrible. It's one of the worst investments I made at that time. It was shocking. It was shocking. I knew nothing about buying properties, renovating them. I just saw this property, thought it was good. Woke upside, it was shocking. The ceilings are down. You cannot access the other room. Everything is blocked up, basically. You cannot go into the property. But end of the day, the hammer has gone down. I would have to buy that property. In essence, there's no turning back. It was a horrible feeling. I feel angry. I feel disgusted of myself. I feel, why did I do this? Why did I buy this property without actually seeing it? Why was I rushing? Why was I so excited buying property without seeing the property? So it was really painful. It was painful, but end of the day, the hammer has gone and had to buy the property. So obviously, the legal process started, and then we start the process, and then by the time we complete, we needed to raise some funds, obviously. So I contacted a bridging loan company that promised to lend me the money, and then we're on that process. All of a sudden, 48 hours before the completion date, the lenders turned around and said they cannot lend me the money. Simply because they looked at their stuff, they looked at the due diligence, they realized what I realized, there's nothing in that village. Literally, it wasn't even an expensive property at that time, it was about £55,000. So obviously, they pulled the plug out. In 48 hours, I needed the remaining balance to buy that investment property. If not, I've lost my 10%, and also the seller can sue me for any damages, anything like that. So I had to raise the remaining balance of 50,000, okay, to get that purchase going, not including stamp duty and any legal cost. So obviously it wasn't always easy, but I was able to raise that funds. I raised the funds, I purchased the property, I got the keys, okay? The next step was also to renovate the property. So because I did not have money back then, so what I did basically is to get builders, promise to be the handyman, maybe their laborers, so to speak. So I worked with the builders, and it is an experience that I don't want anybody to witness. If I know what I knew now, I would have never done. Hence the reason why I tell all my investors, do not literally get into anything else without someone to guide you, mentor you along the way. It was a terrible mistake, and it's a mistake that I would never even want my enemies to go through. So we went through that, did all that work, paint and decorate the house, okay? And now, if for anybody who knows about investment, once you've done all the renovation work, we then get to the next phase. The next phase is called the refinancing stage. Okay, we've done all this nice, amazing thing, right? So cut long story short, we instructed the mortgage broker, they came round, valued the property for literally £75,000, right? So now, why am I saying £75,000? I'll tell you why. It was a shocking truth to me. I bought the property for £55,000. I spent £45,000 to do the property up. So altogether, my investment was £100,000 in that property, okay? And the valuation officer come round, I was with him, I start telling him all these amazing things we've got in that property. He came back and valued the property at £75,000. At that point, I was £25,000 in loss, because my initial investment is £100,000, including all the other stuff around it, and the valuation has come back to £75,000. That was one of the most stressful days in my entire investment journey back then. So I thought, wow, £75,000. And I was fully loaded with credit card debt, fully loaded with other debt, and I've squeezed my rent-to-rent portfolio, sucking all the profit in, hoping that once I've done the renovation works, I'll be able to pull that money back and repay my rent-to-rent business, as well as pay off my credit cards. But obviously, that did not happen. So I've got two options. The first option is either to take the £75,000 valuation, meaning the bank would only lend me £56,250, which is the 75% of the £75,000, or hold on to the property and then rent it out without doing any remortgage. So it was a difficult situation, especially if you haven't got someone to mentor you and guide you at that point. So I decided to go for the latter option. So look, £75,000 not going to do me anything out of that property. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to find a way to rent that property. So lucky enough, neighbors saw me doing the work. A neighbor had about 7 kids or so. They wanted a bigger house, and that property happens to be one of the biggest in the village. They moved into that house and they started to pay me about £550 rental income every single month. So I sat on that property that way. Okay, so once I've done that, I rented the property. The first step I took after that is to get someone to mentor and educate me to ensure I do not make the same mistake. I cannot emphasize enough how self-education is the best education. Getting someone to mentor you, guide you. I'm not talking about traditional education here. Someone to guide. So the first thing I did after the tenant moved in is obviously to get someone to mentor me to ensure that I do not make these silly mistakes again. Okay, so when I went to the mentorship program, learn about how to do investment, learn about property investment, learn about how to buy properties, renovate them, remortgage them, and pull your investment back so you can go again. I learned all this sort of strategy, but I learned another strategy how I can take advantage of that specific property that caused me shingles to make me more properties. That's the beauty of education, which is what I'm about to share with you. Okay, so you know exactly how I've used that property to make a wonderful decision in my investment journey, which then happens also to become one of the best decisions I've made. Although it cost me lots of money, but I'm going to tell you what I did then. So fast forward to about a year since I bought the property. I've educated myself now. I knew about a strategy where I can use my property that I have 100% equity on to buy more houses. Okay, so what I then did basically, now I know I've got that house, I cannot remortgage it at that point, and I've got it a value of £75,000. So what I did basically is to instruct another valuation office, a real valuation office, to go and revalue the property after a year or so. Okay, so he came round, saw the property obviously was renting at that time, he's making me money. He came and valued the property about £115,000. Imagine, within a year, from £75,000 to £115,000. So I now know I have an equity of £115,000. So what I then do, I went again looking for investment properties, okay? But this time I know what I'm doing. I'm educated, I'm more comfortable, and I've got someone to tap into if I have any problems, okay? I've got no issues. So what I did basically, I went to auction again, right? And I start looking for properties. But I had a target of buying properties under £70,000, because under £70,000 I would be able to buy that property. So how do I be able to buy it without putting any of my own money down? Is by using the worst property as a collateral to buy the new property that I'm looking to buy. Okay, so I use the old to buy the new without putting any deposit, anything like that down. Okay, by using my property. So obviously before I did that, I did my due diligence. I instructed the lenders, I gave them the property I'm intending to buy in auction, gave them the address, and I gave them the amount I'm likely going to buy the property at. So I gave them, I think, about £65,000, the value of the property. And then obviously they provided me with decision in principle, taking my property, my existing property with the 100% equity in the bad property as a collateral. So they said, look, if everything goes well, you buy the property at £65,000, we're able to lend you the whole money to purchase the property. Okay, fine. So I knew then at least that has been approved. So what I then did is this. I went to the auction to attempt to buy the property I wanted to buy. This time around, doing all my due diligence, making sure I've read the legal pack, I viewed the property, I inspected the property, I made sure I did every single thing I need to do to ensure it is not a bad investment decision. So let's now jump onto the computer to see exactly how I've used my existing 100% equity property to buy my first property without putting any of my own money down. Let's jump onto the computer. Okay, let's do it. So obviously the property guide price was about £45,000. So obviously we kept bidding, and then obviously I was able to buy that property at £60,000. So £60,000, I was able to buy the property on the day the hammer goes down. They said I bought the property. I then contacted my lenders and told them, look, that property I said I'm going to buy for £65,000, I was able to buy actually at discount for £60,000. I said, fine. If £50,000, they went and amended the decision in principle and came back to me and said, yes, we are able to lend you the whole amounts to buy the property. So in that case, then I did not put any deposit down, and the bank or the lender was able to lend me £60,000. At this point, I did not put any of my money to buy that property because the bridging loan company is happy to lend me the £60,000. So they lend me the £60,000. So the legal stamp duty and all the other stuff that goes with buying the property was about £5,000. So I put that £5,000. That £5,000 is my first investment in the deal, not part of buying it, but part of the legal cost and all the tax that goes with it. And then obviously, then I bought the property. They borrowed me the money. I bought the property because obviously I've got my rent-to-rent business going. So I borrowed the money from my rent-to-rent business to actually do the renovation work for this property. So that happens to be about £40,000. So that then means basically I have not put any of my money in apart from the obviously £60,000 and then obviously the loan from my existing business and savings back then. So to buy the property, I did not put any of my money in, and then I paid the legal fees, well, apart from the legal fees, and then obviously got the £40,000 renovation, and then my total initial investment was £105,000. This is where the education comes in. Okay, you want to be listening to this. So what I did then basically, because I know what I'm doing, I've educated myself, I knew that any property I'd have to buy needs to be more than £105,000 end value, right? Because if it is less than that, I will not be able to pay my lenders back their £60,000 plus interest, okay? So I knew in order for me to buy any property, that property needs to come back at a higher market value, okay? A higher market value, which would be roughly, I was estimating it to be between £130,000 to £150,000. So the property needs to come at that value, especially if I'm going to add £40,000 renovation in that property. Okay, I did my due diligence, I know what I'm doing. And then I estimated the property would come back at about £135,000. So fast forward to doing all the works. We did the work, obviously we ripped the property out. It was a 2-bedroom. We converted that into a 3-bedroom and a little study room, brand new kitchen, brand new bathroom. We hacked all the walls. We upgraded the electric, plumbing, central heating. Everything was done really nice. We changed all the woodworks. Literally, it becomes a brand new property. Okay, we did the back garden, front garden. We painted and decorated the whole house. It looks and speaks like a brand new property. Okay, so I was excited. At that time also, I've learned a lot of things. I don't need to be the laborer. I don't need to do any of those things. So I implemented what I've learned, right? My mentor was on me, trying to communicate with me to understand where I am with the investment, to ensure I'm not making those silly mistakes I made again. So obviously, we estimated to come back at £135,000. Fast forward to completing all the works. We did the same thing. We instruct our mortgage broker to go out there and look for lenders. They ask us how much we think the property is valued. I said, I think the property is valued for about £135,000. Okay, that's what I told my mortgage broker. Then obviously went there, looked for the lenders. The lenders came round, sent their valuation officer around. The valuation officer came round and valued the property. You want to wait for this? For £140,000. I was like, yes! Okay. Then I put that £140,000. I changed the £135,000 actually, because it was this. I changed that to £140,000. So what does that mean? What that means is basically at £140,000, the bank will lend me 75% of the £140,000. And that 75% of the £140,000 should be enough. Needs to be enough to be able to pay my existing lender and pay myself the money I borrowed from my rent-to-rent business without leaving anything in, because that was my objective. Okay, so basically at 75% of the £140,000, the bank lent me £105,000. So we've got the £105,000. So out of that £105,000 now, I need to pay my existing lender, pay for my legal fees, pay for the interest of taking that loan, and obviously pay myself the £40,000. So first of all, it was the interest. So that interest was £5,000. So I paid £5,000 for that loan throughout the loan period, okay? And my loan, mortgage, and my initial investment here, loan and initial investment, and my initial investment was, as you can see here, £105,000. So where do we get that £105,000? We got £105,000 here. It is our total initial investment. It's £60,000 plus our £5,000 legal and plus our £40,000 renovation cost. That gives us a total of £105,000. So in essence then, out of that £105,000, yes, we've added that here. Okay, so we minus that, we minus that. Let's see how much we've done. Basically, we minus all that, okay, and we minus the £5,000 here. Okay, that means basically, right, I was able to pay my lenders all their money, their £60,000 plus their £5,000 interest. I was able to pay their £65,000, and out of my £40,000 investment I've made to do the renovation cost, I've only left £5,000 in it, in the deal. So what does that mean? It means out of the £45,000, I've only got back £35,000, and the remaining £5,000 stays in the deal. It doesn't mean I've lost that money. It means it sits in part of my equity. And looking at that property was going to generate me about £400 net profit every single month. So if you times £400 times 12 months, I would have got my whole money almost. I would have got my money in about 13 to 14 months, right? I would have got my £5,000 back, and I can go again, literally do whatever I want. So at that time, I've got 4,800. So in essence, I used my existing property to buy my first buy that second property, okay? And then I got most of my money out, apart from £5,000. I've got £35,000 and my whole house again, okay? And then I replicate the process. I went and did the second property. I went and did the third property. I went and did the fourth property. I went to the fifth property, sixth, seventh property. I used the same property. That was the worst property ever in my investment portfolio to buy 8 investment properties. Hello. Now, why am I sharing this? Why do you think I am sharing this? I'm sharing this because, one, I learned a massive lesson in it. The lesson I've learned from that is this: you can either pay for your mistake or pay for your education. So based on my experience, the mistakes is more expensive than the education. Okay, my mistake, I lost about £25,000. Okay, and I had to go and pay someone 20-something thousand pounds also to train me and mentor me. So altogether, it cost me £45,000. So now, I wouldn't want you to make that same mistake, basically. That's the reason why I'm sharing that with you. But also, the second reason why I'm sharing with you is for the people that are procrastinating, thinking about doing it, but they never end up doing, thinking, oh, it's going to be really, really bad, gloomy, and all that sort of thing. Here's what I'm going to share with you is this: no matter how bad an investment property is, with the right knowledge, experience, mentoring, it would always be fruitful to you. I've helped so many investors take a dead property and become a property millionaire along the way. I've helped investors who's actually struggling with their properties to use those properties to buy a lot more properties. The list goes on and on and on. And the third reason why I am sharing this is for the people who's got one investment property and they're thinking, look, this is it for me. I can't do anything because I've run out of money. I haven't got money. You'll be surprised what are the opportunities that are there to get you to expedite and expand your property investment journey. And the fourth reason why I'm sharing this is you'd only know when you start your property journey. No matter how much or how many knowledge, experience you've cogged into your mind, if you have not implemented, you are the same as the person who's never ever read about it. So therefore, it's important for you to take action on what you've learned and implement it to get you to the destination where you want to go. Suppose you want to travel from London to Birmingham. The only way you get to Birmingham is by jumping in the car, the train, the coach, whatever that may be for you, and start moving. You cannot procrastinate your way to arrive to Birmingham. You cannot meditate your way to arrive to Birmingham. You cannot educate your way to arrive to Birmingham. The only way you get to Birmingham is by jumping in that car, train or bus or coach, whatever that may be for you, and take one wheel at a time to get you to your destination. Do not wait until all the lights are green before you set sail. If not, you will never embark to that journey. So I took action. I educate myself, get someone to mentor me, educate me, and then I took action. And today, my life has changed. It has changed drastically. I'm in a situation where I would have only dreamt of. I'm living my dream life. Here's the thing. If you'd like to know how to implement strategies to make passive recurring income through investment properties, there's a link somewhere around this video. It could be on the description below. Click that link to book one of my specialists to learn how we may be able to help you use property as a vehicle to make passive recurring income, because this is the vehicle, this is the safety vehicle that millionaires, decamillionaires and billionaires are using to hold their money, to hold their investment, because it's a vehicle that appreciates in value all the time. Click on that link somewhere around this video. And by the way, if this video has been helpful, don't forget to smash that like button below, subscribe to my channel for more amazing videos. I look forward to sharing the next one. Thank you.